It's us again, these two guys, Phil and Lee, and welcome to our amazingly brilliant podcast, which hopefully, what do you reckon, mate? By next time, we'll have a brand new, sparkly name.
I think, yeah, we're very, very close now, aren't we?
We're very close.
Very close.
The shortlist has been shortlisted, hasn't it? But we're going to still leave it as it is. We are here to talk about everything that will hopefully help you upgrade your physical, mental, and emotional health. That's kind of what we do, right? But today, the focus is on one thing and one thing only. Last week, it was about the best topic in the world. This week, it's probably about the fourth or fifth best topic in the world. And we're going to dive balls deep all about this guy sat next to me, who today, for some weird reason, looks incredibly tanned. Why is that?
I've literally, mate, I've done nothing. I think it's just my blood pressure with everyone going, I've got no fake tan on. I tell you, I have been using a mask on a night time. Do you know the Sincerity mask? I've been using that and it's absolutely mint.
Really? Maybe
absolutely mint.
Someone's maybe laced it with shoe polish. You're making my normal, relatively dark skin tone look particularly pale today, if I must say.
You like to get on a mask?
Maybe I'll get some then, mate. Maybe I can get some.
I do actually.
Brilliant.
I'll get you some.
Brilliant. So anyway, we're going to talk all about you, mate, right? Because like we said, if you missed the podcast last time, we went into everything about me, didn't we? Because we're two guys and we set up this podcast to talk about mental, physical, and emotional health, because that's kind of what we do, right? But we realized that we haven't really introduced ourselves yet. We could just be any two blokes off the street. And we thought it would be a good idea, didn't we, to tell our story a bit so that we don't come across as guys that have just, for some reason, had it easy and now decided to earn some money to trying to help people, right? So last week we talked about me. This week we're going to talk about you. So let's kick things off. And let me ask you the question that you asked me the other day. Laughing already because you probably know what something. You don't even know what I'm going to ask.
I feel so nervous.
Yeah. Right, mate. Chill,
I've got no idea why.
It's weird, isn't it?
I know.
How weird is that? Yeah. Weird. See, and here's a good lesson before we've even kicked off. Even someone with a mindset that's mastered like yours gets nervous.
Yeah.
Everyone does, right?
I'm used to. Do you know what I think it is? I'm used to talking about me like how I want to talk about me and when I want to talk about me. But now I'm kind of, you're going to be interviewing me, right? So I don't know what you're going to ask, and I feel like I'm going to go all in. Yeah, like I just think fuck it. I'm going to go all in. I'm just going to tell you everything, and I've not really done that before. I've spoke a lot about, say, the past 10 years, but I've not spoke a lot about everything. And I don't know. I just got to see how it goes. That's where the nerves are coming from, I think, though. Just like, it's not every day you kind of talk all about your life and especially like all of your life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course not, man. Well, let's start with a question to break the ice, shall we? What's your favourite sandwich?
Ooh. Pro mayonnaise.
Oh, no hanging around there, were you?
I had one yesterday. Pro mayonnaise. And if I would second that, it would be a crab stick sandwich with mayonnaise.
A seafood lover.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's start with the second question. Earliest memory. Let's go back there.
Earliest memory.
Tough one.
You know what's hard with this question? Because I've seen photos of me in the past, they're what's creeping up. But I actually think, right, in terms of earliest memory, I would say I'm in my granddad's house with me. My nana was alive then. And I would probably say I'm about 4, and I've got my favourite purple and black coat on. It was the most disgusting shell suit coat. And it was a hand-me-down from my brother's mate, but they could not get it off me back. And I'm walking over to my nana, and and she had this chair in the corner because she wasn't very mobile. She had like a Zimmer frame, and she lived in the dining room in my granddad's house where she slept there because she couldn't get upstairs and things. And I'm just going over getting some sweets. She used to get me sweets all of the, like we go every time we go. I should have like a pick a mix there for us. And now that I think about it, I used to thank her for the pick a mix, but she couldn't get out the house, so I should have been thanking my granddad. I should have been thanking him, really.
Good work. Nice.
But I think that's I would say it's about there, like about there.
So then, childhood. Let's move forwards. Tell me about your childhood. I know that you've had. I think for anyone that listened to the one the other day, mine was relatively uneventful. I think you've had more from the snippets I've heard from you, a bit more of an eventful life than I have.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm interested to hear this. So let's go in. Let's start at school, primary school. What was that like?
We're gonna have to skim mine because, mate, this podcast will be 4,000. I could write. Do you know when people do autobiographies and they're about 10 inches thick, and you think, how on earth could you write that much about your life? Like that's what mine would probably be.
Brilliant.
But I would say, growing like in childhood times, like say 4, 5, 6, 7, everything was just like kind of normal. I did, however, and this has just sprung to my mind actually, but I've forgot about. I did have to keep going to the doctors because I used to suffer really bad with nightmares. And I remember I was in my bedroom one day, and me and my brother slept on. We had a bunk bed, you know, them old pine wood bunk beds that everyone had.
Brilliant.
And then later on, you take them apart, and you've got two singles.
Yeah.
But I had those pine ones, and I remember I was on the bottom bunk, and I used to just wake up in absolute fear, like total fear, and I can't even remember what it was about. I don't know if it was monsters or I don't even know what it was about. But my mom actually got worried, and she took us to the doctors for it, and I think I just grew out of it. I don't know if they would give us medication. I can't really remember. But apart from having nightmares like that, it was that like up to about 7 or 8, I was kind of, everything was sound. I used to just knock about my brother in the garden and stuff, and everything was just like quite normal. Me, my mom, my dad, my brother lived in a 2-bedroom council house, which is a bit different to where you lived.
Let's not go there again.
Like it's just a I wouldn't say a run-down council estate, but like an average council estate. Kids knocking around at that times, cars were getting pinched and all of that shit. But as I started to get a little bit older, and you start to like, I don't know what you were like with your siblings, Phil, but me and my brother started to clash a little bit. My brother had this idea of, if I wind him up as much as I possibly can, and if I give him as many dead arms as I possibly can, and teach him how to fight, then I'm going to serve him for when he's older. But what actually happened was the opposite. I just got really, really wound up. I got really, really stressed. I got really anxious, frustrated sometimes to the point I've thrown a dart. I've thrown multiple darts at him, and they've stuck in him. I remember I was sitting in a dining room in my new house, and we moved when we were about 5 then into a new house just round the corner opposite my granddad, and I had my knife, and I threw a knife and it stuck in his foot. I've whacked him with golf clubs. So that's how much frustration he pushed me to.
Yeah.
And then going on in primary school, earlier years I was kind of okay, but I would say, how old are you when you're in about year 5?
I think you're about 10.
So
I think 12, 13, you leave. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was about 10, I would say that's when most of my issues kind of started to spiral up. When we were sitting in assemblies, like you'd come together in the hall in assemblies, and I'd have panic attacks, just out of nowhere. Like I couldn't just stand still. Anytime where I had to stand still in silence and allow other people to speak, I would have a panic attack. I remember like my teachers taking us out of the assemblies, me crying my eyes out. Obviously, then I was so confused. I didn't know what the hell was happening. And then from then, it kind of took over my school life, I would have said. I was being taken out of lessons for panic attacks. I was had to see one of the, I think he was called a pastoral care. Have you got those at yours? And there was a bloke, I used to go and see him, Mr. Burke. And do you know what it is? I often think, right, I would love to see Mr. Burke and there's a teacher, Mrs. Block. I would love to see them. I actually, when I was in secondary school, I wrote them a letter thanking them for everything that they've done.
Nice.
But I would love to see them just in person, you know, now, like to show them kind of how I've turned out and just to thank them, because they made what could have been way worse situations, they made them better. And they'd take us out of the class and we'd sit in like, there's like a little cubby hole in the corridor and they'd just talk to us. Really, I think they were just like counseling us. But do you know when someone's really got an interest in making you feel good and making you feel better?
Yeah.
I really felt that from them, and the support was unbelievable. So I saw the panic attacks and all that started around about 10-ish. Exams, I'd be shitting me pants. I'd be shaking like a leaf, not being able to think. I'd become distracted through lessons and stuff like that. I would daydream that shit was going to happen. And like, even then I would daydream that I was going to like die and stuff, like just out of nowhere. Just like, I would just feel like I was going to die. So I'd be like, I could just be running along the yard and then I'd just think that I was going to die.
That's pretty dark for a 10-year-old, right?
It was insane. It was insane. But at the same time, I still had, like you say, I had good days where I would just be playing with my mates, playing tuggy, messing about and doing all those things.
What's tuggy?
Oh, I have this all of the time, you know. So
it could be something very, very weird. So, tag, tuggy, tiggy. It. I touch it, you're it, and then you're it, yeah.
Then you got to run. Yeah, that's what tuggy is. We would go tug. We'd touch them and go tug, and then that would be that's tuggy. So that was my primary schoolish things. I had some teachers that I couldn't stand, and they were. Do you know what it is? I seen one in the galleries the other day. Right, she's never changed. She was a really strict, like not a nice teacher, you know. Mm. And I seen her having a cup of tea the other day next to mine, and I was dying just to get this cup and just whack it,
wallop it over.
And I was thinking, I hope you've retired. You know, just thinking, so she's not like making other kids' life misery. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But so that was my school life. Actually, towards the end of my school life, in my primary school thing, used to be a kid. I can't remember who it is, but it was a kid. It was in a couple of years later. And when I used to leave school, he used to fucking trip us up and shit. Mm. I wouldn't call it bullying. I would say pick on us a little bit. Mm. And that had a bit of an effect on us going into secondary school as well. So obviously that whole Stephen giving us as many dead, my brother's called Stephen, as many dead arms as he possibly could and making us fight him didn't make me stand up against that kid in that situation. So it was highly ineffective, shall I say. So that would take us up to starting secondary school. Secondary school, again, all of the panic attacks just continued. Going into assemblies again. Like assemblies were like hell for me. For everyone else, they loved assembly because it meant I had time out of a lesson. But for me, it meant that I would have to be standing there. I'd feel myself swaying like this. I'd think I'm going to pass out and everyone's going to say is I'm going to pass out. And I'd be twitching. I'd be like this, thinking shit. And I'd be looking at the teacher, like whoever's the head teacher or year group teacher, whatever it is, and head of year. And I'd be looking at them and thinking, fuck, they're talking to me. They're looking at me. And they'd start to go blurry. Like I never ever passed out though, you know.
Yeah.
Never ever passed out. But it would be that same situation all the time, and then I would start to try and distract me mates next to us to try and take away from that feeling of being by myself.
Yeah.
So panic attacks really from 10 took over my life up until I would say 5 years ago. So a good 15 years of fucking torture.
Did you do anything? Was there anyone to help, or did you take any actions to try and sort of alleviate that problem when you were a kid? Or was it just like, this is happening, I've just got to deal with it?
It was, I was just like, I didn't tell anyone. Yeah. Even then when it's mad, like a kid tells everything, I just kept it to myself. And it just, I think that's what ruined us, you know. I think that's what, I built a habit of not speaking from a very young age. And I used to just kept it to myself. And I would just not shit myself, like literally, but I'd just be shitting myself inside. I'd just be in fear, in panic. For most of the time, I didn't know what to do. Obviously, when I had those panic attacks, the actual outbreak, but that's like the peak. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When the peak hit, there was teachers would be like, "What's going on?" Like, try and calm us down and things. But I didn't understand. I didn't understand what the hell was going on. I didn't even know how to explain it. I didn't know. So I can't really remember even in secondary school I didn't really get any help. I felt like I had, from my primary school years and just the Mr. Burke and Miss Block listening to us and kind of being there for us, I think that kind of made us a bit stronger. But what it didn't do was make us talk more. So I was stronger and I had more strength to hold and fight the anxiety and the fear. But it meant that I didn't speak about it, and it meant that I just took it all upon myself. So that I felt it. Do you know when the kettle just keeps boiling? It was kind of like that, and then just every so often it would burst. Like I remember going for, I had to get me 6 pricks in my BCG. Mate, I was a mess. I was crying my eyes out. This is in secondary school. Yeah. I still see people in secondary school out and about, and they always refer to it when I'm out on the drink, and I'm just like, I don't want to know. I've done so much, and you're going to just talk about one day that I was fucking skitzing up because I was getting needled. Yeah. You know what I mean? I remember actually seeing someone in a bar, and he was like, you passed out. And I was like, mate, I've never, ever passed out from a panic attack, ever. But what's funny is that is your biggest fear. When you're having a panic attack, it's your biggest fear is passing out. Like mine was passing out in front of people.
I was going to say, is it the actual passing out? Yeah. I was going to say, is it the actual passing out, or actually passing out in front of people and looking like a knob in front of your mates, you know?
Probably, I would say more about people, but I would, in general, because if you're by yourself, you still shit yourself that you're going to pass out because nobody's there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's like, it depends on the situation. If people are there, you don't want to pass out because people are there. But then at the same time, you don't want to pass out when you're by yourself because people aren't there. But then at the same time, I'm thinking when I pass out, I'm going to die. And then I'm thinking, I'm going to have this outer body experience. These are all going to be looking over the top of us. I'm going to be dead, fucking frothing at the mouth and all this shit. And these are the fucking thoughts that were running through
as a kid. As a child?
As a kid.
I mean, that is just nuts, isn't it? That is nuts.
As I'm speaking about this, I can refer to them and I can actually feel it a little bit, but I can call upon the times and the situations and the feelings. So they're still in there. They're still in my brain. Do you know what I mean? The impact that they had, I still carry them now. So that was school. I was one of those kids at school who was, I was never naughty. I was a disruptor. I would distract people. I would I would have jokes and I wasn't like the funniest kid in the class or anything like that. But with the friends who I was with, I could really make them laugh. And would have some good fucking laughs. Do you know what I mean? And I would distract people. And I used to have this game where, do you know when you're like a little horny teenager? This is in secondary school. I used to say dirty.
I still am that teenager, mate.
I used to say dirty shit to the lasses, but then I'd come up with something that rhymed that sounded the same. So like,
you're gonna have to give us an example now, mate.
So I'd be like, "Oh, let's feel your tits, man," and then they'd be like, what did you say?" And I'd be like, "Something rifts, yeah, man." Like, do you know what I mean? And I'd turn it around and say something like that. And that was my little game I'd play all the time, and I'd say shit like that. I was still a bit of a joker and things, but it was always something that was like, it was always there in the background. If that makes sense. It was that feeling was always there. If I was by me, like I hated being by myself. Like sometime, like in my later teens, when I had a really bad stage, and I would just be cuddling to me ma, like holding on to her for fucking dear life. It would feel like the settee was falling away from us. It was again feeling like I was dying. Like it felt like the whole living room was just shutting in on us. And my mum and that didn't understand, but it's funny, right? Because my mum, ever since I can remember, she's always had some form of depression or anxiety and fear, the same. But she didn't understand when I was like, for like the people who are listening, my parents, I'm still, my mum and dad are still married, been in my life all my life. But they're both disabled. My dad, when he was 5 years old, he was on in where the quayside is in Newcastle. He was next to a church, and they used to play this game where they'd roll down the hill and they'd stop before they got to the end, because at the end it was just an off. There's a wall, and you'd fly off the wall, and it was, I would say, the height of a house or something. Like the height of gutters on a house. So I would say it was about a good 12 meters or something, right? And they were playing this game when he was 5. He fucking didn't stop.
Oh, mate.
He didn't stop. All of his friends shit themselves and just ran off. Didn't tell anybody.
Jesus Christ.
So my dad's rolled down this hill, rolled off the end, landed on the floor, knocked himself out. And it was his sister, if I remember correctly, come and found him. Obviously rushed to hospital and everything. So since then, my dad is like a paraplegic, so he can only use one side of his body. I wouldn't say he's sort of kind of developed learning difficulties. He's like, he can get away with life, but he's got, do you know what I mean? He doesn't learn quite as good. He doesn't pick up things. He doesn't good, but he still gets it. My dad's an absolute trooper. He's a machine. Like, I take a lot of lessons from my dad. He doesn't tell us any. Do you know when you have, like, when you say those things on Facebook and where celebrities are like, oh, my dad told us this and he said these words and always look up. He never say, he's a man of few words, my dad. He's a listener and an observer. But through that, I observe him and the bravery that he has, like the resilience that he has, the love that he has for his family. Like, he's taught us a lot of lessons from me just watching him, which I think is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. My mum, she was born with a hole in her heart. She had about 6 strokes as a baby. She was actually the first person born in who survived with a hole in her heart, but they didn't record it then. And when my mum was about 4 or 5 years old, there was an article coming in the newspaper, first person born with a hole in the heart, and on record and all of that. And it was like, well, you weren't.
Oh,
Because
no. How
you go to
annoying
the
is that?
hospital records and look at what my ma's got. Like, she was actually like, wait, the first will say it in that hospital because they are who said that she was the first. So they fixed her heart and stuff like that. But she's same again. She's like paraplegic. So because of the strokes, she can only use like kind of one side of her body. But again, she's kind of just battled on through life and just kind of got shit done. But I think she's just started with at a disadvantage, shall we say? Do you know what I mean? And I think she's found it hard to catch up and keep up with society, with life. And I think that's what led a lot to her anxiety and depression and stuff. But I think the biggest thing that has obviously impacted us all is me brother and his behavior. But he's obviously had things going on. My brother, so I would started having panic attacks around 10. He'd start like smashing windows and smoking tack around 10. and pinching the teacher's purse, like whatever you think somebody could do, he's kind of done it. He was getting expelled from schools. He was like just everything, pinching cars. Like, you had no points. He probably has now, but I remember there was a point where he had no points on his license before he even had a license. I was like, it was mental, just off like pinching cars and stuff, and then that led on to like I say, we smoking tack, then skunk, and then that led on to taking tablets and taking pills, and then eventually led on to heroin. And I think for me, seeing that as I was growing up, that fucking destroyed us. Like that, I was already, I wouldn't say that's what caused me anxiety. But I would say that's probably what tipped us over the edge. Like kind of what I seen. Like, nobody wants to see them, the brothers kind of killing themselves in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not like, I know drugs don't kill you, but an overdose kills you. But like, when you have this vision of your brother who you've grown up with, you know his personality, you know how he looks, how he acts, how he is, then when that changes, when somebody takes the drugs that he took, he isn't the person that you grew up with. He isn't that person anymore. He's gone. Like, and I mean, he's gone. Which is absolutely insane. Like, the change that can happen in someone is unbelievable. Like, even to this day, like, all of his friends growing up, and that's like, some of them are the same, but they've turned their lives around and stuff. They all say, like, your brother is the best kid I've ever met in my entire life. And then it always goes on a straight head. And I think it's a huge shame, because he kind of knows that, but he's addicted. Do you know what I mean? He's addicted to drugs. So it's like, he wants to be that person, but he finds it very, extremely difficult to be that person. And in his head, he likes to be that confident flying around with a mask on, like, trying to impress everyone, gangster type. He kind of wants to be that person, to impress everyone, but he doesn't realize that everybody wants him to be him without drugs, and that's what actually impresses everyone. Is him being him without drugs. I went on a big tangent there.
Yeah, no, that's good. So you said there that that the stuff with your brother that kind of tipped you over the edge, tipped your anxiety and the mental health issues you had over the edge.
Yeah.
What do you mean? So you were here, you were a kid going through school, panic attacks, this, that, and the other, and then your brother gets into all this shit that goes on, and that sort of sent you over the edge. Who are you? Who were you when you went over the edge? You know what I mean? Describe that section of life. What happened then going forwards?
I would say when it started impact is the most, I would say from 12, 13, 14, 11, 12, 13, 14, I looked up to him for it because he was popular. He's a popular kid. And I looked up to him for that crazy being like stupid sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like being the life and soul of the room, being is mad. What we up here, we say, oh, he's mental, he's mad, it's crazy. But people say it in a good way. But when you get older, it's a fucking stupid way when you think about it. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of looked up to him. I always looked up to him. I'd follow him around and I'd ride around on my bike. I'd always want to be where him and his mates were and stuff. But as I started to get more clued up and I was getting like 15, 16, 17, that's when I become more aware of how serious the stuff that he was doing was. Because he's 4 years older than me, so 15, so he would have been like 19, 20. And I remember I used to kick off in the living room and be like, you should have your own house by now. You should have a girlfriend. You should have this. And all of this stuff, like I used to scream and shout. But do you know what affected me the most, which is mental. And I think a lot of people can take from this and learn from this from a house perspective and in-home perspective. What affected me the most, right? Now, Stephen would get brought home by the police. He would get phone calls from hospitals. This has happened, that's happened. He's done this, he's done that. What my parents used to do, now I can't knock them for what they've done, right? Because I don't say any other way that they could have done things. And they only done the best with what they had, right? And what they knew. They used to send us to my room. Now, if you get sent to your room as a child, you don't just go in your room and lie down and go to bed. You don't go in your room and play with your toys. You go to your room and you stick your ear on the door. And you know yourself, when your brain starts to think about the predicted future, it creates a bigger situation than it actually is. So some of these times when I'm downstairs, like if I'm downstairs and I get sent to bed, if I had been just downstairs and just seen the police drop him off and seen him just get a clip across the head, because my dad gave him a clip across the head, do you know what I mean? If I'd just seen that would have been a lot less impactful on me than what I created in my head in the emotions that I felt. So I would go upstairs, I'd stick my ear on the door, then I would hear him crying, I would hear him apologizing, I would hear my dad shouting, I would hear all of these things. I would hear the police talking, but so quiet, and I'm trying to listen to what they're saying. So then I'm creating in my head what they're saying, and I'm making it worse than it is. And then I would be panicking and freaking out in my room. But because I respected my parents so much, I didn't leave the room.
Yeah.
And because I didn't speak about how I felt so much, I didn't speak up. So I'd just be in a room, trapped in a room with my own thoughts, feelings of overwhelmed, fucking going ballistic through my body, not knowing what's happening, not knowing what's going on. And then that would, when it wasn't happening, I'd think back and put attention on those thoughts that I had. And then I'd think this is happening, that's happening. And then it would happen all across through the day and whenever I was by myself. That's why I hated being by myself, because I was left with my own thoughts. And when I was left with my own thoughts, I only thought about what created the most emotional reaction in my body, which was thoughts around my brother, thoughts around death, thoughts around how he's going to overdose and kill himself. Like all of these things, how he's going to go to jail, I'm never going to see him again. Like he's going to do something stupid and I'm going to get the repercussions. And all these thoughts. So what's mental where I started this from was the sounds are worse than the actual thing itself of what he done was worse for me. So I know there's a lot of parents who they'll say, and I'm not knocking you, yeah, like, but I'm just like, this is my experience and I'm going to be honest about it. There's a lot of parents who'll be like, even if they're arguing between each other, they'll be like, I'm going to send my child to the room. Now, you can argue or whisper as much as you want. You can hear. You know, if you've meditated before and somebody makes a noise, it sounds like they've got a speaker or an amplifier on it. Or if someone's whispering and you're meditating, it sounds like they're shouting. It's the same as that. When you're sent to your room and sent to bed, you're sent to your room with the lights off and you're meant to be going to bed. Now, what you do is you get your ear on the door. All your visual is gone because you're in the dark. All you see is the light around the door and you're trying to peek through it, which causes more fear. And it heightens how good you can hear. And you just listen and listen and listen. And that plays a big emotional effect on how you feel. And not everyone's going to speak about it. I didn't speak about it. So you may be sending your kid to bed so you can argue with your partner, or you can tell the brother or the sister off. Listen, they can fucking hear. They know what's going on, and they are taking some brunt. They are taking a hit.
And also, like you mentioned a minute ago, you were creating scenarios in your head because you're picking up snippets of what you can hear. You're picking up snippets of the cops and your brother and whatever else. So then you create a scenario and create this predicted future, which is essentially what anxiety is, isn't it? Right?
Yeah,
worrying about stuff that may or may not happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm saying, from my perspective, it's probably better to be in the room. Is that true? I don't know, because I was never in the room until I was older. And by then, the damage was done. When I was allowed to be in the room, I'd end up freaking out, punching them. And I don't want to be. I turned into the person that I didn't want to be. Do you know what I turned into? Do you know when I was talking about where he used to like fucking give his dead arms and all that, and I had no quarrels about fighting him back, no quarrels at all. And when he done like the things that he done and put in the situations that we were in, he made that he created a person that would attack him verbally, mentally, physically. He created a person that would attack him, not others. And he created a person who would like not defend for themselves. Well, I think his objective was for me to fend for myself in the outside world, and to not be trod on or anything. Don't get us wrong, I wasn't really trod on or anything, but I'm the type of person who I don't look for trouble, so I don't get it. I never needed it, really. Do you know what I mean? But he created that person that would attack him. So when he'd come home in teenage years, when I'm 15, 16, he's like 18, 20s and that. And if shit was going down, I'm there thinking I'm protecting my mum and my dad here. He's the prick. He's the outcast. He's the one who's caused all of this. So I would just go at him. I'd just rage at him. We've fought in the gardens. And I've punched him all over in overdose state before. I say punched him all over, like he couldn't do anything about it. You know, he was that wrecked.
Yeah.
But I would say I've attacked him in situations where he's been in overdose and being taken to hospital and literally being on life support. But that,
Jesus.
and then that has an effect on me. I didn't know that was where he was at that time, but it was just like, I kind of blame him for creating it, but he kind of did, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
He made it acceptable for me to fight back when it was him, and he made it acceptable for me to hit him from a young age. And So he kind of created that. And that's why the darts got through at him. That's why the knives, like
Knives in the
literally
feet.
knives, proper knives, just no. I used to go into used to wind us up sometimes, and I'd go into these blind rages, and I mean blind.
Yeah.
Like all I would know is like my mum and that couldn't control us. I would just scream and shout back. Like I would just remember being in my room, just like wishing everyone would die. I would go into that. I would, you know, when you're just like, it is all. It wasn't my fault. It was his fault. But I would just go into some blind rages and just grab anything that was next to us.
Yeah.
If it was just my fist that was closest, I'd use my fist. I'd kick. I'd scratch. I'd fucking grab his eyes. I'd like, if it was an ornament, I don't care if it was my ma's favorite or not, it was going to get smashed off him.
Yeah.
Like glasses, drinking at the table, just having me tea. He might run past and pinch a sausage. That's it, bro. That's it. Too far.
Wallop.
Glass, whoosh, smash straight off him. Knife, fork, stab. Whatever. Do you know what it is? This is horrible, and we shouldn't really joke about this situation because he's done some horrible things in his time regarding knives. I probably taught him how to do it.
Yeah.
He created me. I probably, for the amount of times I chucked knives at him and stabbed him with stuff,
yeah,
I probably taught him how to do it.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was that the things that were, mental health side of things that you've experienced were to the extent that they obviously were, right?
Yeah.
And what you've just described there is very much not the Geordie Lee Hogarth who I know, right? I've known you for a couple of years, 3 years, right? And you are an incredibly chilled out, softly spoken, calm bloke, right? Without meaning to blow smoke up your ass. So you're obviously, this was you back then and this is you now.
Yeah.
What changed? How come you are the person you are now and not the person that you could easily have become had you have just carried on a specific track? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say just pinnacle points of having enough. Like I'd had enough. I had enough of torturing myself. I had enough of being tortured. The ultimate, if I was to choose the ultimate pinnacle point, would be, I would say, at the peak of when Stephen was at his worst. He's had now, I would say, if I'm correct, 6 overdoses. Yeah. Where in 3 of those, like, if it wasn't for the doctor saying one more turn, he wouldn't have been here.
Blimey.
In what's mental is he'll wake up and laugh about it, and all he wants is more drugs from there, which is infuriating as hell. But I would say at the peak, he would turn up, he would phone the house, I would say 100 times a day, like no shit, asking for money, asking for everything. He pinched stuff, like, do you know what it is? To be fair, the stuff I pinched, he kind of near enough got back, but it's not the point. Like, I remember he bought us one, the only thing I remember he's ever bought me for Christmas was, do you remember Driver, the game? He bought me that for Christmas. I was playing on it for about a week. I went to play on it and it was gone again. He sold it. Yeah. And that's the one thing I can't remember ever getting back. But bearing in mind, we say Christmas, I've only had 2 Christmases in a bus since he was about 18. Him actually being there. He's been in prison the rest of the time.
Okay, right.
And just going back there, I remembered where I was going with that, with the sound thing. Even to this day, there's a doorbell. It's not the one that comes on this Zoom and you, right, don't worry. But there's a doorbell, and as soon as I hear that noise, my body goes into absolute panic.
Yeah.
And that is the door. So he'd call the house over and over again, and he'd ring the doorbell over and over again. And he'd ring and he'd scream through the door, "I'm dying. I'm going to get chopped up. Like, let us in, let us in." Like, just all through the night. Like, I would get no sleep, like just all through the night. And when he would go, I couldn't get to sleep because I'm worried about him. But then at the time, we're kind of doing, he needs, keep him away, push him out. He needs to hit his rock bottom. And then when he's ready, he'll come back and he'll get better. But it kind of didn't work. We've tried everything basically. But at this point, we're kind of like, he needs to hit rock bottom for this for him to fix himself. So we'd ignore the door, we'd ignore the door, we'd ignore the door. And then I was an electrician, and I was rewiring houses every day, and that is a hard job. Like, the council take about 5 days to rewire a house. We could rewire a house in like 5 hours. We were fast, and it was hard work. It was intense. So I was tired of it. It was a draining job. Do you know what I mean? 5 days a week doing rewires every day. And then not having any sleep at all because your brother's praying on the door and all of this stuff. And I remember I was at work one day. It was building up. There was peaks in between, yeah, but it was building up and building up. And I'm standing upstairs in this house. It was a nightmare of a house. And I don't know what happened. I must have just been in my head thinking in autopilot, just worried about him and thinking. And I looked down, and now bear in mind, we only wire out, like, we rewire smoke alarms with this red sheath cable, low smoke cable. And I looked, I'd wired all of the sockets. Like, I'd used all of the smoke alarm cable to rewire all of the upstairs sockets and preparing some of the cables there. And I looked and I just went, what the fuck have I done?
Yeah.
What the fuck have I done? And I didn't even have the cable for the smokes. Then the people downstairs are like, right, I'm ready for my cables. And I'm like, I've fucking pulled all the wrong ones in. I've pulled it, they're all fucking wrong.
Focus, awareness on, yeah.
I just sat on the floor and I just put my head in my hands and I was just like, what the fuck has happened, Lee? Like, what is going on? What the fuck's happening in your head? Give myself a bit of a wobble. I said, 2 minutes, mate. I remember I was working with a lad called Kev. I was like, 2 minutes, mate. And I went outside and I was like taking deep breaths and I was trying to calibrate myself. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? And then I went back in. I got some of it rewired, got some stuff. Luckily, we had shitloads of cable built up in the back of the van. I got some of it done. And then my phone rang and they said, oh, we've got snagging to do. We tried to go back to another job. And then it just, everything was just going wrong that day as well. Like, I'd normally just pull the cable in easy, but then I couldn't get the cables in. Like, everything was just building up. And I just went, I've had enough. This is it. I walked downstairs, phoned me, like, I think he was like, not like a man, like second top or something like that from the company. I phoned him up. I says, yeah, someone's going to have to come. Yeah, I need to go home. Someone's going to have to come, take me place. I need to go home. I went, I can't take no more. And he said, oh, well, just finish that house and do the one tomorrow and I'll come and see you. I went, listen, he's called Andrew. I went, listen, Andrew, you're not listening. I went, this is it. I'm gone now, regardless. I don't care. I don't care if I've lost my job. I don't care anything. I'm gone. I'm going home. I'm going home. And I fucking quit.
And that was that.
He come and see us. I had time off. He gave us time to try and sort myself out. I went to doctors, got medicated. I'd been on medication previously, got on medication. I was getting counselling. I was fucking, it just kept getting worse. And I was stuck. I was literally petrified to leave my bedroom. It got to the point where, do you know me? I had a wooden bed. It had a frame along the top. I had, do you know, like games that would like exercise your brain. So like Rubik's Cubes. There was loads of different variations of Rubik's Cubes, different games where you had to roll the balls into different things. I had to have them all lined up all the way along the top. I'd have every pitch and door had to be perfectly in line and shut perfect. I'd go around, everything had to be absolutely spotless. I had serious OCDs. I had to be super clean. my phone had to be perfectly placed on charge right next to us. And then I'd try and go to sleep. I'd just have fucking no chance. So I'd try to go to sleep, think about the pain and the anxiety and the things that were causing the stress, have a panic attack, because I didn't want to, again, didn't fucking speak about it. My mom just thought I fucking liked these games. But next door in the room, I'm pulling my fucking hair out, thinking if I jump out this window, it'll be all done. Like, just fucking losing my mind. I'm fucking playing these games. I'd try and go back to sleep again. And then before I know it, it would be morning and I just had no sleep. It was fucking mental.
Nasty,
but I had like, there was a period of time where I just can't remember.
Yeah.
It got to a point I can't remember. I remember going to the doctors at one point, but then later on, I started to get better. I was speaking to my doctor and he said, he says, you seem a lot better now speaking. And I went, what do you mean? And he went, well, about a month back you were here. And I was asking you your date of birth and I was asking you simple questions and you just had no clue as to what the answer was. Wow. He said you were going to speak it confidently. I'd ask you the question, your eyes and face would tell us you knew the answer and you're about to say it and you just couldn't tell us anything at all. Just nothing.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the peak, and then I had counseling from there, I had medication, and then I started to do my own research. Before then, even if you mentioned the word anxiety, I would have a panic attack. I couldn't type it into Google. I couldn't look at a book with it. But I forced myself. I thought, I'm having a panic attack anyway. I'm going to fucking have a panic attack trying to get better. And I started just looking up on things and learning about mindset, learning on how the brain works, learning on how I can fix myself. And one step at a time, I did counselling. I had counselling from the NHS. I had medication from the doctor. I had private counsellor who I paid for myself, who I'd go and talk to. And then I would do things like all these Reiki, fucking past life regression. I was doing all of these things. I was just having a concoction of absolutely everything to get better. And then things slowly got better. And as they did, I vowed to myself that I'm never, ever going to feel like that again. If I can, it might happen. It could happen at any point really. But what I vowed to myself was if I do daily practices every single day, if I put the effort in every single day to prevent this, then if it does happen, I know I've done everything in my power to prevent it from happening. Do you know what I mean? So then I just fucking started this personal development stuff. And then I would say I was doing it for about 2 years. Then I joined the program that I met you in. And then since then, I've been a machine. I've been a fucking machine.
You've done a lot as well, haven't you? You've done a lot in the few years that I've known you, haven't you?
Yeah. Done the SES selection exercises, the fan dance.
Hold one sec. Can you just tell everyone how you did on that SAS? Because I've done that fan dance as well. Tell everyone a bit about your experience doing that.
Right. When we done the fan dance, it wasn't the event thing. We organised it with the people I'd done Breakpoint with, and we went up by head torch through the night and stuff. And me and one of the lads, we were running down Jacob's Ladder, and I remember listening to Ant Middleton's book, and he said, "Oh, just slide down the outside." So there's me, I'll fucking slide down the outside, no problem. I couldn't slide. I was going that fast. My Bergen was just catapulting us down this hill. I couldn't stop. So I'm running down Jacob's Ladder. If anyone, if you've been to Jacob's Ladder, it's like the steepest,
it's
rockiest,
steep ass hill, man. Yeah,
fucking badass hill. And when you've got it's 35 kilograms, I think, is that right, Bergen, on your back?
Pounds, yeah, I think it's 35 pounds.
Pounds, I mean, sorry,
heavy.
35 pounds on your back, running down the hill. And it was misty that day. I've got pictures on my phone where you can't see my hand in front of my face.
Yeah.
And running down this hill and fucking we missed the turn. And I'm running and running. I get the bottom. I start marching up the next hill. I think it was Cribbin, I think it was called, or something. I was marching up the next hill in the next part. We're getting up. I'm like, yeah, there's no tracks here or nothing. Like, are we going the right way? And my mate's like, we're not going the right way. He's getting the map out. And we went about 3 miles in the wrong direction. And no, I think it was 1.5 miles in the wrong direction, up on another like hill/mountain. We had to come all the way back, halfway up fucking Jacob's Ladder, and turn off and try and find everybody else and try and catch up.
Because that is in the middle of nowhere, isn't it? Brecon Beacon.
Oh, you do not know where. If you can't find a stream or a point of recognition, that pairs up with a map, it's that scary as well. Like,
you're screwed.
Just in the middle of fucking nowhere. Everywhere looks the same. Yeah. Like, it's insane. But I had the target set of 4.5 hours, and I'd done it. I sprinted. I got up from the top of Corndoo. I worked my way halfway down, and then I thought my feet were killing. I was like, I just want to get back to that phone box. So I started jogging. I was like, actually, this is easier. It was easier to run.
I found the same.
So then I started running, and then I'm pelting, dodging people. People are looking at us like, who the fuck's this? And I'm running. It's about two miles or something back. I ran the 2 miles back as fast as I possibly could with that Bergen on. And I got back and stopped my clock, and it was 4 hours 28.
Yes. Nailed it.
But it still beats us up this day, because I know I could have got a way better time.
Maybe we should do it again.
I think we should, but it's fucking horrific.
It's not nice. Yeah.
I've done a lot of stuff to build resilience and see what I'm made of and push myself. Like, I've done a lot of stuff to create panic attacks. So I faced a lot of fears, and that was something else I'd done to get over panic attacks. Wherever I had a panic attack, I'd stop going, because I thought that it was the place, not me. So I'd have a panic attack in a sunbed, so I'd never have a sunbed. So then I, one step at a time, faced it and proved that it wasn't that, and then got over it. That's how I ended up stuck in my bedroom, because I had a panic attack that many places. I had nowhere to fucking go, apart from in my bedroom. But obviously I was trying to escape external things, and it was all fucking in my head. I was carrying it all. I was carrying the problems with us.
So you've changed a lot, right? What I think we did this when you asked me this the other day. Give me a few strategies or tools or tips or hacks. I hate that word, but you know what I mean, that you implemented back in the day, or that you used, or that you use now. A few usable tools, right? That if anyone's listening and going, do you know what, that sounds like me. I'm in that boat now, that someone could implement straight away. Yeah. That might just give them that kickstart or give them a bit of an edge.
I would say if you're right in that deep pit, like where you're having panic attacks on a regular basis, like shit's really going down. One of the best tools I actually received from the doctor, and he said I had so much going on in my brain that he thought that was what it was that was causing it. So what I'd done was, he told me just to write down 10 things that I needed to get done, or that my brain was telling us. Do you know when you walk around, you're like, oh, I need to do that. Oh, I'll do that. Oh, I need to do that. I wasn't doing them because I had no energy. I was fucked. I was just lying around and just... Panic attacks are exhausting. You've got no energy. But then you haven't got the energy to do the stuff that requires energy, or the stuff to create energy. So what I'd done was I started writing a list of the things that I needed to do and that were in my head. Now that would be things I needed to do, things that I was telling myself, emotions that I was feeling. And I just done it in sentences. I'd done about 5 lines and I was like, bloody hell, this is hard. And then after that, I got to about 10, and mate, I couldn't stop. I filled about, I can't remember how many it was, but I remember I was actually blown away by it. And I went back to see the doctor, and he was like, what the? He was like, no wonder your brain is going mental right now. You were dealing with all of the, so it was all of the thoughts, you know, like where you're like, oh, I'm going to die, or oh, my brother's going to die, or my mom can't cope, I can't cope with that. In this list, and it would be whatever I would repeatedly say in my head, and I wrote them all down. And what I'd done was I just started from the beginning, and I looked for a solution. or I try to do it and I tick it off. I started ticking off and it wasn't really doing it for us, so I started fucking scribbling, scribbling them out to death, like fucking nearly ripping the paper, scribbling out. But it kind of deleted it from my mind. So just writing a list of what is going on in your head, get it out of your head, get it out and put it on paper.
I think that's something that a lot of people talk about, right? And you read it a lot, don't you? Oh, have a notepad by your bed, so when you wake up, write down what you're thinking about. And that. And I think that's that's good advice, but a lot of people just think, it's not going to help me. I can't just write things down and all of a sudden I'll be better. And I don't think you're saying this in the respect that write things and you'll be fine. But it's easy to dismiss something
it's a perfect first step. It's a perfect first step, because when you're anxious, you just need a break, or you're depressed, you just need a break from it all. And for 10 minutes, if that, when you've wrote that list down, you feel that break. And when every time you complete something, you feel that break, you feel that achievement, and then you remember how you want to feel, and it sets you off on some good tracks, and it moves you forward a little bit. There's a lot of other things, like I would say meditation has made the biggest impact on me. But if you're currently having panic attacks, if you currently really are like depressed and your thoughts are overruling your brain, I wouldn't recommend. You could do some heart breathing and just breathing in your heart and trying to focus and think about what you want more of. Obviously not the shit that's causing you the pain right now, but thinking about like holidays, thinking about how much you love your partner, your kids. And it's hard. It really is hard to find them, but it's the act of searching, which you search and you'll find. Heart breathing, but I wouldn't recommend. I got recommended mindfulness meditation, and all that happens is you shut your eyes and you think about all of the fucking shit that's going on. Baths, like if you're having panic attacks and that, like you should not be having a bath, because they're relaxing for the majority of the country. They aren't relaxing for you. They are a place where you are left alone with your brain, where you create all these problems again and you create panic attacks. It's like a training ground.
When I was, and the issues I had seem pale to insignificance compared to some of the stuff you've been talking about, mate. But when I was in that grip of sort of anxiety and my head being all over the place, one of the worst things for me to do was just to sit with nothing to do. You know, just sit with nothing to do and have periods of time where, I've got nothing to do now, I'll just sit here and relax. That never happens. So I don't know about you, but for me, I made sure, and I learnt this very early on, that if my brain had something to do, then I was kind of all right. You know, occupied.
I think it's important with that now, like reflecting back, I've done a lot of, it's very important that you don't use something as a distraction, I think. So I'm going to be careful with my words here, so I can try and explain what I mean. So you don't want to be, if you're feeling anxious, you don't want to distract or tell yourself you're distracting, because you can't trick your brain. You can't, it's the same brain. You can't like trick it, you know what I mean? It knows what you're doing. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to distract myself from this, he's fucking, from who you're trying to distract yourself from is listening. It's the same person.
Your subconscious brain's like, hold on a minute.
You can't.
I know what you're doing, mate.
But this is where you've got to say, I'm like, not even say, but just divert your attention. It's the same thing. There's a very fine line. 1 minute you're telling yourself you're going to distract, but the other thing is saying, okay, this is how I feel. How do I want to feel right now? And just diverting that attention from the pain to the pleasure, and just move it. So it's not, I'm not watching this film to distract myself from anxiety. I'm watching this film because it makes me feel better than anxiety. I'm doing this because it makes me feel better. If I think about this rather than anxiety, I feel better. It's that, and I think I hear a lot of distract yourself, use a distraction. It's you need to divert your attention, not distract it, because as soon as you try and trick your brain, it's gonna end badly for you. It knows, and it's just gonna accelerate that energy in the area that you don't want it to be. So you got to divert it to what you want more of. Gratitude, writing a list of things you're grateful for, not just writing things down on paper that you could possibly be grateful for. What do you actually feel grateful for? What actually gives you that feeling? Like, I've given the task of gratitude to a few people, and you can see where it's just like, I'm grateful for them blinds. I'm grateful for that picture. I'm grateful for and they're just looking and writing the thing down. That doesn't work. You've got to actually feel grateful for it. So like, I'm grateful right now for your time and listening to me. I'm grateful, right? Like, what are you actually really grateful for? And if it's only two things, then it's only two things. That's fine. Two things is better than none. And then gradually it'll be three, and then it'll be four, and then it'll be five. And then as soon as it outrules, as soon as you get from 51% of good to 49% of shit, you'll feel better.
You're winning. Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes time, and it takes discipline. And that's
relentless consistency in it, mate. You just got to keep doing it. If there was one thing, lastly, I know we've got to run in a sec. If there was one thing that you couldn't live without right now, or one thing that you wouldn't not do every single day, what would it be? Like, what part of your daily routine would you always do no matter what?
Meditate.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I'd agree. 100%.
Second to that's journaling.
Yeah.
You would think, coming from a PT background, I'm going to say exercise, but nah. Meditation. Calm. Train yourself calm. There's so much you can use meditation for. It's the most powerful tool on the planet.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think it's important that people realize meditation is a training tool. It's not just something that calms you down before you go to bed. It's something that actually creates energy and can train your mind to become better in a certain way, you know, become more calm, or be able to perceive things differently in that, you know.
Yeah. I had this conversation with a lad I know, actually, where he's just jumping on and just clicking any YouTube one, and I'll try that one, and I'll try that one, and I'll try that one. That there's a bit like saying, I'll try tennis today, I'll try cricket tomorrow, I'll try football the next day, I'll try bodybuilding the next day. You never get good at anything. Like you say, it's a training tool. You gotta, if you are looking to become more mindful, then you need to just do mindfulness meditations and practice mindfulness. If you're doing it to raise your awareness, then the same. If you're doing it for creation and visualization, then just focus on visualization and creation. Don't mix everything up, because you end up with a fucking shit training plan.
Agreed. Mate, that was an absolutely brilliant insight into your background. One that I didn't know anything. I didn't know a lot of that. Nuts. And it's a credit to you, without blowing smoke up your ass, right, or getting cheesy or making you cry, because I know you're a sensitive soul. It's a credit to you, mate, you know, to end up where you are now. And I reckon anyone listening to this, especially anyone who knows you, will know that you've obviously put the work in, changed yourself, because you could easily have gone a different route.
Oh, 1,000%.
Easily.
1,000%. And it's just, I see a lot, I was talking about it a while back. The only difference between me and my brother is we made a different choice.
And I would say, and I think we can all learn from that, right? Everything's about choices, isn't it? We can all be a certain thing without going on, you know, a bit too woo-woo, but everything is about choices. You either choose this way or you choose that way, and that's it.
Right now, with this corona situation, a lot of my clients are struggling with boredom and stuff like that. Boredom's a fucking choice. You've got a choice to sit on your arse, or you've got a choice to get up and move and do something. Same again, write a list. What can I do when I'm bored? Get up and tick that off. When I'm bored, I will, and then refer to your list and do something from your list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the tasks that I know we and you have both done before. The old happy list, isn't it? Yeah, I am happiest when, write that down. And then when you're feeling not in a good place, look at it and say, right, these things always make me feel happy. What's one thing that I can go and pick off that list and go and do?
And even if when you're doing it, you don't feel as happy, your body picks up and it remembers and it makes an impact. It may not be the totally transform. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're feeling a bit shit and you're like listening to some jokes, you might not laugh at them, but you kind of like, it's making you feel that little bit better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks very much, mate.
That's,
Thanks very much.
enjoyed that.
Good work. Good work. Anything that you like to add before we go?
If you are struggling, just remember it's not about, don't think about going from where you're at now to being perfect, because you'll never be perfect for that. I'm still not perfect. I still work on myself every day, and I will for the rest of my life. But if you think about the whole journey, it can become very overwhelming and it can stop you in your tracks. Just ask yourself, what is the next step? What's the next logical step I can take? And if you are where you were, I would start with the list. And it really is down to you to fix you. And it's down to you putting the work in. Don't wait. I remember I was put on a 6-month waiting list for counseling. Don't wait for that counselor. Start trying to better your life yourself now. If you make some mistakes along the way, it doesn't fucking matter. You're trying to make yourself better, and you're teaching yourself habits and accepting that you're responsible. Like, one of the big things that I'd done was to get better and start making tracks to get better was I accepted that I had created it all. I accepted that what I was doing was making me feel the way I was. I accepted that it was literally all me. And as soon as I accepted that, I accepted that I could change it. Don't rely upon others. Don't rely upon external things to make you feel good. Rely on you to make you feel good, because you're the only one who's there. Don't rely on speaking to your best friend or speaking to a counselor or speaking to whatever. By all means, do it, but don't rely upon it to make you feel good, because when they aren't there, you're giving yourself permission to feel shit. Rely on you. It's your responsibility. And yeah, rely on you to get yourself better. You're stronger than you think.
100%, mate. Yeah. I love that. Good. That's a great lesson to end with. I think it's very good. It's easy to look for external things, isn't it? For constant reassurance and help, and that'll make me feel better. That'll make me feel better. But it's working on the inside, right?
Yeah, 1000%.
Mate, absolute banger.
Skin,
yeah.
If it's past your skin, it's got fuck all to do with you. It's the inside where you need to work.
Too right, mate. Too right. Absolute belter that was. Absolute belter. Good work. Thanks for being so honest, my friend. And it's not easy talking about shit like that, is it? But you did it. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there listening thinking, that's me, or I feel like I'm on that path right now. Yeah. And those people will take a hell of a lot from that honesty. So big up yourself, mate.
Reach out for, if you are, don't be me. Learn from my lesson. Message Phil at the Phil Highland. Drop me a message at Lee Hogarth Fitness, or send a voice note in, and we'll get back to you and see how we can help you. Just don't suffer in silence. It's that cliche thing. Don't suffer in silence.
Definitely.
Right,
mate. Great work. Good work.
Next podcast next Monday. Yeah.
Next podcast next Monday. Tune in.
Monday.
Every Monday is what we're going to do now. We've committed to it now. We've just told everyone. So it's going to happen. Mondays, there'll be a new one dropping.
Brilliant.
Nice one.
Thank you for listening.
Take it easy. Peace.